So tonight, of course, we're going to have Grant Stewart on the show. But without any further ado, I want to remind you all, remember, like, share, comment, subscribe, follow all the socials, Facebook On The Spot with Taz, Instagram On The Spot with Taz, our YouTube channel, BEMP Corporation, and our website, mybemp.com. Once again, reminding you all, go back and check out this past week's episode of T-Shirts and Two Tuesdays where Miss Rush interviewed Katia Brooks. We had our segment with Coach Sekou Obadias as well, so make sure you go back and check out that episode. So without any further ado, let's get it.
Draft the 259th pick by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They select Grant Steward.
I grew up in a situation that was, lower income. Both my parents were felons, and my mother is a drug addict, and, my dad was in and out of prison growing up. Football was probably the only thing that was just really consistent in my life, whether or not there was food, whether or not the lights would be on, whether or not I was going to be at the same school tomorrow. I always knew that football was going to be there, that sports was going to be there. To a degree, that was one of the only things that I could control. My goal primarily right now is just to win a championship with my current team. A big passion of mine is just being that positive role model, and I kind of wear that on my shoulder every day to remind myself, no matter how hard something gets, no matter how troubling a situation is, I understand I have a bigger purpose.
Ladies and gentlemen, Grant Stewart, thank you for coming on the show, my brother. How you doing?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Hold on.
Talk again.
Welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Oh man. Let me try to leave to come back, bro. Your voice is a little distorted. Give me a second.
All right, go ahead. Come on back. We're going now. I want to remind you all real quick while we get Grant back about our Harlem Nights event coming up in October. So make sure that you go to mybemp.com to pre-register for that event. Now, I know we have a flyer and we also have a commercial. So once again, mybemp.com, you see it right above my head. Our website, mybemp.com, our Instagram On The Spot with Taz, and our YouTube, BEMP Corporation. So we're going to run a quick commercial, and then we'll be back with Grant Stewart.
Welcome to BEMP, Black Heritage Enterprise Marketplace Corporation, an e-commerce enterprise platform created for Black business owners and empowered buyers across the globe. We are the platform that empowered buyers frequent most, the enterprise that our employees love working for, the parent company of BEMCO, Black Entrepreneurs Marketplace, a Black-owned e-commerce Black business membership marketplace, and a marketing and advertising platform for Black business owners. We provide a variety of features such as a Black business directory for both state and national searches and targeted product and service searches. Black business owners, advertise and market your brand to the most important consumers on earth with BEMP. Black business owners, join BEMP today. BEMP Corporation.
All right. Can you hear me clearly now?
I'm good. I can hear you.
All right. Awesome. Once again, Grant Stewart, welcome to the show, my brother. So glad to have you. How are you doing, man? Thank you for accepting our invitation to come on the show.
I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing amazing. I'm on crutches right now. I just had this surgery here. So been hobbling around, but wife's been good to me. You can tell she getting a little testy, having to take me everywhere, having to make me a sandwich every 10 minutes. But
yeah, I know how that is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So she's definitely great. So yeah, man, I'm doing really good. Just been actually in this off season, just trying to get stuff going, on the whole nother side of of my life, that I'm trying to have to figure out in this time. So it's been a blessing. It's been cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was actually about to ask you about that because I know you had a successful surgery. All praises to the Most High for that, because we all know it can go wrong, but nothing went wrong. So that's the blessing. And it's gonna be a little bit. It's just only gonna be a little while long before you running yourself crazy all over the house again. So we ain't
Yeah,
even
for
worried
sure.
about that. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Yeah.
Now we all know Grant Stewart is a baller. Everybody in the
Mm,
world that know the name Grant Stewart know Grant Stewart is a baller. We know that you're Mr. Irrelevant from last year's draft, being the last player selected, but we know that you have become extremely relevant, not
appreciate
just
it.
because of your story off the field, but because of the impact that you made on the field. But probably the most impactful part of the name Grant Stewart, when people hear that name, is your story, where you come from, and your faith that came from that story. So take us through your childhood and your growth and your upbringing.
For sure. Man, I'm from Houston, Texas. I was born in Houston, Texas. My mom is from Katy, Texas, east side of or west side of Houston. Yeah, west side of Houston. And my dad was born in Texas, but was raised in Louisiana. Came back to Texas, met my mom. They met at a super young age. My parents did. I want to say my mom had me at 16 years old. My dad was a little bit older than her. But just as young parents. They had really good hearts. They got caught up in some tough stuff, I think, at an early age, as early parents. And my mom was making money and as a stripper in the sex industry. My dad kind of was fueling that fire, and both of them kind of were involved in the drug life and eventually became drug addicts. Um, you can hear me good? All
Absolutely,
right, cool.
absolutely.
Yeah, eventually became drug addicts, and which led to my dad uh, having some petty crimes and stuff, being in jail early on, and then actually going on like a heavy stint, pretty much like my whole middle school. He was for a heavy stint. He was gone for about maybe 3 years in there. Um, but it was like even when he was out or when he would come back, he just would they would just be gone all the time. So it pretty much was just like long story short with that, I was pretty much put in a position to where I had to raise my siblings from a young age, or just be a lot more involved in the raising of them than a normal older brother would have to be. I'm the oldest of five siblings, but really it was just two that I was primarily taken care of. They had the same mom and dad as me my whole life. And yeah, man, I had to learn how to drive a car when I was probably 11 years old. Had to commute us to certain places. Had to drive myself to school. I was trying to hijack the food stamp card to make sure we was eating something. Didn't know how to shop. I was buying muscle milks and beef jerky. Um, and that was that was pretty much the dynamic of my life, man. One thing I can say when it comes to football, my parents were always super supportive when it came to sports. I think that my parents always kind of knew that I had a potential there, I had a future there, and so whether or not the lights were going to be on or anything like that was never guaranteed. But like my parents were supportive when it came to ball. Like I was going to get to practice some type of way, and my dad was going to be at all the games. So that's one area I'm really appreciate them, and as well as just putting me in the church, putting me around people in a church, regardless of what was going on there. I mean, I was there, so and allowing me to sing and stuff like that at a young age and kind of lead worship and all that growing up. That kind of I think definitely think that's a large part of what carried me. Um, and so getting to college. I had some great opportunities to go to college because I was just naturally smart in school, and actually committed to Yale for a couple years. Really, really wanted to go there. And then the older I got, the more I kind of realized like I can't just leave my siblings here with my parents like this. With their situation just wasn't going to work. And so I got the late offer from Houston. Um, was super intrigued. Man, I went on a visit. I committed to University of Houston. I just knew it was the perfect spot. It's like a big football school. Sending guys to the NFL, at least two or three guys every year, which is what I wanted to do. I told my siblings since we were younger, I was going to provide for them, I was going to get us out of this situation. Um, and that dynamic kind of stayed where I was trying to be Superman for my siblings my whole life. That it stayed in college, and it never damaged me until I got to college.
Mhm.
Me thinking I have to be the savior, me thinking I have to be the Superman of their life, you know. Um, and once I got there, man, it was tough. Like school jumped on me. I had to learn how to wash clothes and do all this stuff I never did. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to
Yeah.
handle like the finances they were giving us. I was handling poorly. I was missing practices. I was like, I was failing classes, all this type of stuff because I was trying to go back and forth all day, every day, trying to, you know, help my siblings or like figure out what was going on at the home and figure out a way I could help. Visiting my uncle in Austin, see if he could help with the money or something. And then on top of that, I was involved in a real toxic relationship that was just really draining me and damaging me during that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And during this whole period of time, like I did not know the Messiah, I did not know Christ, I did not have no actual relationship with the Most High. Like I did not have like an actual foundation. I just had four songs I would sing on Sunday to people in pews. Like I was singing to them and for them as for
Mm-hmm.
entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Like my heart was never postured in a way that was towards the Most High. And I never like I had become so damaged by it because the people that were or at least, you know, one of the people who were so damaging with me and my or through the church, um, you know, just kind of put a really poor example to me of like Christ and, you know, a follower of Christ. So like once all this stuff kind of started happening to me in college and I was failing and I was depressed, like I just kind of stopped believing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I just was like, I don't like want to believe in that. Like, look at what that's doing. Like they don't have no toilet at home. Like what? Like
Mm-hmm.
no. Um, and so you know that kind of kept going until finally, um, football ain't seemed like it was gonna happen. I wasn't starting. I had a couple injuries. Then our head coach got fired. Got a new head coach. Got a new position coach. Got a new position coach that was probably the first little move that kind of started to change my life. Getting that new position coach in Blake Gideon, started to just care for me, kind of evaluate what was happening in my life, and was able
Mm-hmm.
to identify some of the negative things that I was surrounding myself with, some of the negative behaviors I had become accustomed to, and really just started revealing those things to me and giving me an opportunity to remove myself from them and giving and guiding me through that process. You know, instead of I've had coaches in the past. Once I got to all praises, once I got to college, I had coaches in the past who like would see that like, bro, I was super temperamental. I was missing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm failing classes, but I'm like super smart. So like, bro, what's going on with dude? And just kind of wrote me off. Kind of like, he's got too much going on. We can't start him this year. Let's put him on special teams, whatever. Because like I could still play, but it was like I couldn't. I didn't know the plays. It was just like, but it was like nobody ever thought like why. Like let's work with this kid. Let's get with this kid and really like spend some time with him. And that's really what Coach Gideon did was just love me and care for me and show me that there was a way out and show me the path. And he was the first person to tell me that the best thing I can do for my siblings is to be a positive example, positive role model, and to finish and do what I need to do to show them that they can get themselves out of there. And
Mm-hmm.
once I get to the position of being able to help them, then I can help them. But being a college student, I couldn't help them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm getting like $1,500 a month and I got like a car note, insurance, this, and this. Now I got $200 and I got to feed myself. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't help him. So, um, and it's still, I still felt like I could. I still was in that toxic relationship, that was really damaging my life. That was really reflective of my parents' relationship that I grew up seeing when it came to like cheating,
Mm-hmm.
lying, manipulating, cursing, like all types of stuff to one another, and like just them staying in that, and like my relationship was a reflection of that. Like I viewed that, and that's what I grew to cuss. That's what I flocked towards, because I had a lot of very nice young women who wanted to get to know me and stuff like that, but I wasn't interested in that. I wanted something that
Yeah.
was like reflective of the sin I grew up around. Um, and so September 22nd, 2019, bro, it all changed when I gave my life to the Most High, when I gave my life to Christ. I had constantly, like I told you, I had pretty much stopped believing in everything, and but I wanted to know what was true. I wanted to know what was right. I wanted to know what was real. I've always been a critical thinker, so I'm like, bro, what is the truth? What is real? I changed my major, or I changed my minor in school to religious studies because I wanted to know, like, all right, we got all these religions, all this stuff. I can't just say I don't believe in nothing. Let me see what's real. So it started off in me investigating other religions, investigating other belief systems,
Mm-hmm.
and so I pretty much investigated them as a whole. And logically speaking, anyways, academically speaking, nothing was holding up. Nothing was like standing on its own ground, except for uh, biblical Christianity, except for the Bible and the claims that the Bible makes. I would say that's the only thing that was standing on 10 toes, was the Bible and all the claims and the historical facts of the Bible. When I researched it, when I was trying to disprove it, I couldn't. When it came to the resurrection of the Messiah, there was nobody that could disprove it. I was only led towards people proving it. And so but still for me, that wasn't enough for me. You know what I'm saying? As far as like, you know, I wanted to really know. So that whole time, I started to lean towards God. I started to cry out to Him on a daily basis and asking Him, Lord, if you are real, I ask that you can please reveal yourself to me in a way that I cannot deny, in a way that I cannot get in my own brain and be like, nah, no way. Um, and I prayed that prayer often, and I would do stuff like on the field. I would say, uh, please let us get the ball right here. Please let us get the ball. And then we would get the ball. And I'd be like, nah, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't enough for me.
Yeah.
So it was this one moment, and I'm trying to go fast, but
Mm-hmm. No. Take your time. You all good, brother.
there was this one moment, my junior year. It was after one of the games. My cousin had been inviting me to this church, to this fellowship, and he kept inviting me till eventually he just stopped inviting me. But I knew it was there because he was telling me like, look, I found a place, like, and I know that the presence of the Most High is there. Like, I know it's there. And I'm like, okay, dude, sure, you know what I'm saying? And so I get to a place, man, where I'm super depressed. That was about a week after I wanted to attempt suicide, and actually, went to attempt, and then by, the grace of the Most High, I didn't actually do it. But it was about a week after that, dude. I was in the car with the person I was engaging in a toxic relationship with, and she actually got out of the car with me, because she found something on my phone, and she just got out of the car with me, and she was, said whatever she said. And I just remember, like, there's a lot of times in my life where I felt like alone or lonely or depressed, but for some reason that just did it. Like, that was like just like the dang, like this was the one thing I was trying to do. I
Mm-hmm.
had begun to idolize this person and idolize this engagement, idolize the structure of this relationship I had developed with this human being. And like, it was obvious to me that it wasn't gonna work, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it like crushed me and like depressed me, and I knew it was like my own fault. And like, I really felt alone and lonely. And I turn on my car because I'm finna leave. It's like 3 in the morning. I'm finna go back to my crib. And when you turn on the 2014 Ford Fusion model, um, it like, connects to your Bluetooth and plays whatever song you was last playing.
Mm-hmm.
But if your phone dies and comes back on through the charger or whatever, it'll play like a random song on your playlist. It's just the way it's
Mm-hmm.
set up for something. So I had only had like one song that was Christ centered on my whole phone. It was like one song. I don't even remember what the song was, but that's the song that had begun to play, and I was already crying. Um, and so like that just kind of reminded me of what my cousin said, and it was a Saturday night, so I figured I'm gonna just go to the fellowship the next morning, which was a Sunday morning with them. And so, he called me. I didn't call him or nothing. I just remembered, and he told me the name of it, and so I said, you know what, I'm gonna just pull up. I'm gonna just pull up, and it was about an hour away. It was already 3. Service started at like 10. I knew I wasn't gonna be able to go to sleep, so I just stayed up. I drove to Houston because I drove to Spring because that's where the church was, and I slept for like a couple hours, at my dad's. I woke up, but when I woke up, my back right tire was flat. So I was like, dang. So I put some fix it flat in there because like that happened to me often, and I still pulled up. Like, no, I'm pulling up. And so I pull up. It's like the place is like in a little. The fellowship is like in a shopping center. It's like hard for me to locate. I like park way across the street. I walk in kind of late, but I go in there. I find a seat kind of in the middle. My cousin and them walk in. They're like, "Oh wow, what's up?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here." Like, it's it's time to get it popping or whatever. And so maybe 6 months before that, when I was still trying to investigate and go into different places of worship, um, I had felt the presence of the Most High, or I at least felt like an emotional feeling or whatever during worship. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And so that is what, and I just thought it was like that's what like kind of drew me to him, and because I've always been very musical, and that's what drew me to him in that moment, and that's what in that moment led me to get baptized.
Hmm.
Was about 6 months before that. So I'm like really eager for worship. I'm like I've been down, I've been depressed, I've been sad. So I'm like, oh, we finna have this worship, and I'm just finna like cry or something. It's just finna be
Hmm.
so uplifting. And like, dude, worship starts, and it's just like I'm just like not feeling it or something. Like it was
Hmm.
just like not what I was expecting. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like I wanted worship to be for me, and like it wasn't coming to me whatever I
Hmm.
was looking for. And so I still stayed, and I was like, I'm gonna hear what the pastor has to say. Um, but I sat down. The pastor started him and the it was like a panel of people, right? It's a panel of people up there, and they start to speak, and they're just talking about. I don't really remember that much about what they were talking about, but it was a panel of them. But I just remember how much scripture they were bringing up, how much Bible they were bringing into this conversation, and it was like everybody in the building was like on the same accord, and like I felt like, dang, like y'all really like know the script like that. Like I'm like,
Hmm.
dang, and they're just like sharing it with one another, uplifting one another, talking about personal situations in life and how the scripture has helped them, how the Most High has helped them in their life and all this type of stuff. And so the pastor like stands up, and he's like, hey, God is telling us through these scriptures, like, you know that he wants you to come as you are. He wants you to come where you're at. When you look in the scripture, you look at the people that will come up and touch the Messiah's robe. Like he accepted them and wanted them to come as they were. They got up. He got up out the boat and went and just followed Jesus. Like that's like what I'm saying. Like that's what they was doing.
Hmm.
Um, and so he was like, some people came to church or some people came to fellowship this morning, and they some people came this morning and they don't believe. Some people fellowship this morning and they going through something. Say some people somebody drove up here this morning with a back flat right tire and like just keeps going. I'm just sitting there like, yo, like first off, I pulled in late. I pulled in across the street and my like no way. I'm saying, and I got fixed flat, so you can't even see the flat tire. Um, and so like for me, like I've been praying that prayer, like God, please reveal it to me, and that still didn't do it for me. To be honest, that still didn't do it for me. Like I'm like the Most High not trying to tell me that no way,
Hmm.
And so afterwards, man, we're getting invited to go up there and pray if somebody's going through something or if they want to, counsel with somebody or give their life to Christ. And, I just kind of stand up and walk over there. Like, I don't even remember standing up and walking over there, but I did. And there's about 10 people up there. And it's like you kind of go to whoever's open at the time. And so I started walking towards this woman that's open, and there's a man in the far right dressed in normal clothes. And he's like, no, you come over here to me. I'm like, all right. Like, I'm like, maybe it's like males with males. I'm like, I'm not knowing what it is. So like I walk over there to him, and it was just like the Most High started speaking directly through him. He was just like, He told me, he said, I was just like you. I said, I was just like you. I was left in my car alone, crying, feeling feeling lonely, feeling depressed. I wanted to attempt suicide. Um, he said I was left in my car too that same way. And he was like, and that feeling that you were feeling last night, that feeling that you were feeling loneliness and depression last night, that God is telling me that He is the only one. God is telling me to tell you that He is the only one that can fill that void. He is the only one that can fill that in your heart. And He is telling you to keep coming back to Him. Keep coming back to Him. Stay in His presence. Stay in His presence. And like He was saying a lot of stuff, but that's what was echoing in my ears, And He was like getting very specific to my life. Um, as far as just like he was like, bro, Like my girl left me in the car the same way when I was living in a world. And he said I was living in my car. I was depressed. And I'm just like, dude, I don't know this dude's name. I didn't say nothing to him. I just walked
Mhm.
up,
Mhm.
and like I got to crying, and he was like, you gotta give your life to Christ today and keep staying in His presence. And I was like, it's done. Like once he showed it to me, it was like it's over with. Like
Mhm.
it's done
Mhm.
for. And so I went and talked to my cousins, and then I was just like, bro, this dude, like, he was like, oh yeah, like Vinny, like, yeah, he's a prophet. Like God be speaking to him all the time. Like nobody was surprised, and I was just
Mhm.
like, dang, like y'all really doing this over here. And ever since then, man, as far as just like toxic relationship and any stronghold that had any spirit of Jezebel or anything that had a stronghold on my life was just instantly like broken, like over with. Like I instantly fell in love with His word. Like it was like if you met me, or like if you knew me the week before, if you was chilling with me, you would have just been like, is he on drugs? Like what is what I'm saying? Like it just was so instant for me.
Mhm.
And like stuff just started clearing up. I met my wife like a week after that. Like, if I would have met her a week earlier, she would have been like, "Skirt," what I'm saying? Like like I met her a week after that. Friendship started clearing up. Opportunity to adopt my sister came in through my wife's parents, in their knowledge, because she was adopted. Like it just was the
Mhm.
perfect, like the perfect setup. But yeah, since then, man, it's been doing my best to honor Him and glorify Him and find the truth. I even figured out that once I thought I was in the truth, there was some more truth. So
Hey, hey,
then
listen.
I meet people like you. When I ask God to keep revealing the truth to me, I pull
Yeah.
up at a Kroger. Look, I asked God. Look, I seen something. Since this, I'm jumping to the left right here, but I seen something. This dude named Desmond on my Instagram. He was posted up with his wife and his kids for a Passover celebration. I seen his
Mhm.
post and some of the things he was saying. I was just like, oh, buddy must be Jewish. And then I'm like seeing what he's saying about the Messiah and stuff. I'm like, well, this is not like the modern Jew that I
Nope.
know. And so, I get to just like investigating into it, asking him some questions, and I'm just asking God, like, if this is something I need to, be paying attention to or something, I just ask that you can reveal it to me, just like, you revealed everything else to me. And it was just like, bro, thing after thing after thing after thing. I'm telling you, like, um, I start listening to some music. Navia the Servant, come on, humble for y'all. I'm listening to that. Then I
Mhm.
pull up to I'm like, he's saying the same stuff, and like I didn't look for it. So then I pull up to Exos to start training. I pull up to this place to start
Yeah.
training in Frisco, Texas, and I meet this dude who's like my favorite player at my position that does what I do. I'm like, I
Mhm.
look up to him, Jeremiah Owusu Koramoah. You
Yep,
know the
Jeremiah
name.
Cormol. Yeah, I know what he's talking about.
And he pull up and I'm chopping up it with him, and I hear him saying something about I asked him if he had a girl or something, or if he had a wife. Um and he said, what he say? Uh he said something about like Mashiach or something like that. And I was like, I could hear his terminology, and I like knew what he was talking about. I'm like, bro, did the Most High put this person in my life too? I started chopping it up with him. He started just like building that
It's a
brotherhood
powerful
with me.
brother.
And
That's a
yeah,
powerful
yeah,
brother.
yeah. And I was just like, man. And then I'm like, I started asking my cousin about it. My cousin is like, do it really matter? Like. And so I'm just like, if to me, just reading, like, it ain't matter a whole bunch to me, but I'm like, bro, the most I just keep putting these people in my life, like,
Mhm.
this is not a lot of people on the planet, like, that you know what I'm saying, that's
Yeah,
believing this way,
yeah.
and so then I go to, kid you not, I go to a Kroger that very same day, and I'm praying that prayer, right? Most High, please reveal it to me, I'm praying that prayer, and I'll go into a Kroger, and I'm like, remember, we fascinated because the Kroger had like shoes and stuff. I'm like, what Kroger sells shoes? Like, what is this? And then
Mhm.
like, so we see a woman. She just walked by. She had a hair wrap on. She was shopping for some cereal or something. And I just seen her necklace was big. It said Judah on it. And I'm like, here we go. Like. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just say something to her. I don't want to disrespect her. Like, I know her husband not
Mhm.
around. Just like, excuse me, ma'am. Like, my wife was next to me. I'm like, excuse me. Like, I just want to know what your necklace means. Like, do you guys have like, fellowship around here that maybe I could like, come around and
Mm-hmm.
come learn something. And, she was just like, absolutely, gave me her husband's number, started chopping it up from there. And it's just been like, even like, meeting your mom at Armature Works, it's just been thing after thing after thing after thing,
That
and
part. That
you know what I'm
part.
saying?
Yep.
And when I get here, when I get to the Buccaneers, man, I was struggling so bad because I was struggling finding friendships. Because I had a best friend back in Houston
Mm-hmm.
named David Anini, a Nigerian, born, like
Mm-hmm.
real strong in his faith. And like we just clicked so much, and it's hard for me to click like that with people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, halfway through the season, we get this guy off the on practice squad from Green Bay or something, and bro, he's part of the family too. And he started chopping it up with me, talking about something like he just came up and asked me one day, like,
Mm-hmm.
what you think about Israel and what you think. I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
bro, like, so it's just been a constant thing like that, been just trying to dive deeper into the deeper truths, and definitely still trying to keep it like a child, definitely still trying to keep it simple and
Mm-hmm.
glorifying Him and worshiping Him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, that's hopefully I ain't spent too much time there, but I
Oh
just try to
no,
like
man.
give
No.
you little
Hey,
sprinkles of everything. Yeah,
hey, man. That's good. That's good. That we wanted to let you go, man. And and you definitely get. First of all, you gave everybody a lot to think about and a lot to consider, because one of the main things that I always that I always bring out is, number one, to talking about your first experience, is the Most High was intentional with the way that He led you to this truth. And I'll tell you why. Because a lot of times, a lot of people come directly out of the world and they come into this truth, and they view the truth differently, right? But what the Most High did was He established a relationship with Christ, established a relationship between you and Christ through Christianity first. And that's what
hmm
I usually found, is that those who have the stronger relationship with Christ usually come out of the Christian church first. So it was pivotal that the Most High brought you back to the church
hmm
and then presented you the truth after, because that's the way I came to the truth. I came to the truth through my faith, which was a Christian trait, which was the Christian church at that time. So what
yeah,
was pivotal for me to build that relationship with Christ, because once you have that relationship with Christ, it's easier for you to go through the progressions and finding the truth, knowing that you have a foundation that's built on Christ, which a lot of people don't have. And the second thing that I wanted to bring out was, we everywhere, brother. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
times, that's one of the things, is that and I think my family can attest to this as well. You find the truth and you feel alone, but then the Most High shows you, it's like, nah, bro, here, nah, there, nah, here. Like brothers like Isaac Bruce, Malcolm
hmm
Jenkins, all those brothers know the truth. All those brothers,
hmm
all of those brothers are able to speak to what it is that we know. So, that's why I thought it was Jeremiah Owusu Koromoa is one of the brothers that also knows the truth, a powerful brother in this ministry. So going through the Most High had a person for you at each stage that you were going through. So
yes,
understand, and everybody who's watching this as well, this man's testimony is huge, because not only because of his platform and the way that he can bring it out, but the fact that it shows that the Most High was intentional in every area that He had him going through, right? Where you are now and the person that you are now has a lot to do with its effect on your family, right? And its effect on your siblings. Like you said, you met your wife a week after you
hmm
came to the church,
yeah,
right? And,
yeah,
and we're gonna get it, and I'm gonna ask you some questions about that later, because the topic of this season, the theme of this season is the repair of the Black family. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. But you
yeah,
see how the Most High had her there waiting, right?
yes,
And he brought you through those progressions. So I want everybody to know is that no matter where you are, go through those progressions. Paul said that he knew how to be both abased and how to abound. You have to understand that wherever you are, the Most High has you there for a reason. And I think you, more than anybody, can attest to that and say, listen, I grew up this whole way, brought me back to Christ, and now it's bringing me into further truth. All of that, even what your parents, between the negative and the positive, played a huge role in who you are and where you are today.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, it's like, like I finally found, I still been searching for like, a good place, a good fellowship, consistent fellowship to bring my siblings, I mean my sister and my wife to, and really try to find some a pattern for us.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually was going on, I believe, like on Mondays. We were going with this small group. We kind of met and like had some food, similar to what I did with y'all at y'all
Mm-hmm.
crib.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like with some of my teammates and stuff like that. We just start having a Bible study, and this dude Lorvins, who just like seems like the most unconventional person, like with all of us, like
Mm-hmm.
with everybody, you kind of knew like, oh, he do this, who do this. I didn't
Yeah.
know what Lorvins did or what he
Mm-hmm.
was on, like, and he ain't never say nothing. And then one time he just started speaking. He was just like, the Most High started, and he just started talking Israel, and he just was talking to everybody, and I'm just like, oh, here we go right here. And and so I've been
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
speaking with him, and it's just like with every single point of my life, and like you said, with like every single, like in even when I was devaluing women, even when I was manipulating people, lying to everybody, um, like there still was a purpose that was to be revealed to me, and living that life and living in that lifestyle, like, and now being in a locker room or being in a career where a lot of that is around,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's able for me to minister to people from a place of understanding and a
Mm-hmm.
place of experience
Mm-hmm.
rather than I'm up here now I'm pointing a finger at you. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
bro, I know what that lust and temptation is like, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to tell you on the other side of the bridge that, bro, is so much better what the Most High has in store. You know what I'm saying? Once you find a wife, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just been like it's been such a blessing. And like every day that I get further and further on this side of the bridge, it like I'm thankful for my experiences, that the Most High carried me through,
Mm-hmm.
up until I submitted to him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's all that it takes. You know what I'm saying? You remember we sat down, we had that conversation, and I told you, I was like, listen, this is it's a marathon. This isn't a race. You're not gonna get to your destination fast. You need to go through your progressions, same way that you went through your progressions by going through your life, up through your life. And now finding Christianity and now navigating your way through the truth is going to take time. And I told you, going through those progressions, you're going to meet a lot of different people. You're going to encounter a lot of different things, but it's your relationship with Christ that would keep you grounded and show you where you needed to be. So it's definitely all praise to the Most High.
All praise,
It's
yeah.
you're definitely doing that, and that's what matters. That's what counts. So y'all know his testimony, and I told y'all his testimony was powerful. A lot of y'all in the comment section, y'all know it now. This is a lot about what it's about. You know what I'm saying? It's about going through what you're going through to get to where you're going to.
Yeah.
Right? That's a lot of people get so focused on the obstacles in the path they forget about the path itself. You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yes.
So
Hmm.
and once you get down that path and once you get close to your destination, you begin to respect the things that you went through to get to that place, because now you're a totally different person after experiencing what you experienced to get where you are, to benefit those where you are now. Right?
Hmm.
Those things that Paul could speak to that are not a lot of that the other disciples couldn't speak to. He was murdering Christians
Yeah.
for years as a Pharisee,
Tripping.
until Christ came, knocked him off that horse,
Hmm.
humbled him, and like you said, it was a change. It was like that. Paul's change happened like that. He
Yeah.
got up and he was changed, right? And it was
Yeah.
just like you said. It was like the person that I was the week before and the person that I was the week after that experience were two totally different people. You go through what you go through to get to where you're going to,
Hmm.
right? So, my brother.
Yeah.
So now I want to get into some questions. Now, one thing that we do know is you went to the Reese's Bowl your senior year, the senior bowl, right?
Yes.
And something happened about 10 days before the senior bowl. You were training, running your 20, right? You're running the
Yeah.
20, and you got a hamstring injury. Before you went in with a hamstring injury already, right?
Yeah.
When you were running and you felt what you felt and you pulled up, what went through your mind in that moment? 10 days before the senior bowl, what went through your mind?
Bro. But what through my mind was like, did I just hear that pop? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like was that really a pop or was it just
Hmm.
like a ah? You know what I'm saying? It's like
Hmm.
sometimes you get strain, but like, was that a pull? Like, is that a tear? Like, what's going
Yeah.
on? And like, it was just so like, oh, not now, not now. Like, I had it. That was what I was feeling like. Please, not now. Like, this is when I need this hammy. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like, no, I need this. No, I know I need it, you know. And I just was thinking about like how am I gonna get drafted now if I don't participate in the Senior Bowl? It's like I already maybe had to get a surgery, like you said. I already was
Hmm.
dealing with an injury.
Hmm.
And so it was like, yeah, that's what I was feeling, bro. I was just like, please not now. Like I felt like this was my only shot, my only chance,
Hmm.
because the Senior Bowl, because of the COVID year,
Hmm.
there was no NFL Combine.
Yeah.
So it was like Senior Bowl or nothing. You know what I'm saying? That
Hmm.
was like everybody was gonna be there. I'm like, I can't go up there and not do nothing, and I'm already short and small. So
Hmm.
it's like, dang, you know, it was tough, man. Yeah.
Hey, and you went to the Senior Bowl 10 days later and did what?
I went crazy.
Went crazy.
Yeah. Went crazy.
You went up there with two bad hammies and
Yeah.
went crazy. I remember because I don't usually watch the Senior Bowl. But
Yeah.
this particular day, I was actually working to prepare for the market that week. And I was like, you know what? I'm bored. I turned on the TV and I see this dude with hair, a Troy Polamalu dude, right, with hair
Hmm.
just speeding around the field. I'm like, who this? Right?
Yeah.
And then I'm watching the draft and I see, okay, with the 259th pick, Grant Stewart, and I see that hair running across the screen again. I'm like, we
Yeah.
got him?
Yeah. Live. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And what's crazy is that you came to my city.
Hmm. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and 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 I looked and I remember that day that you got picked, I went and looked at your Instagram and I showed my pops. I was like, read that. And he was like, it says the most high there. And I was like,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
not everybody
Hmm.
refers to God as the most high, right? So I
Yeah.
was like, something about that. And that was the day that I messaged you, and I believe it was a couple of weeks later where you messaged back. And that was when you and I first started when you and I first started developing the friendship that we have now.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was
And so
wild,
like,
man.
yeah. And the craziest thing about that Senior Bowl is like 10 days I pulled the right hammy, and um it was like every day they were like, look, it's like a 12-day recovery. Like, you can be back and go to the Senior Bowl and be good. I'm like, all right, bet. So I have 10 days, and for those first 2 days of the Senior Bowl is like meetings, talking, so I can just be rehabbing that whole time. I'm thinking, am
Hmm.
I training my room? And like, I was.
Hmm.
Um, but 2 days before I left, so 4 days before I needed to be practicing, I was trying to test it, and like,
Hmm.
like the day before I left, and when I was trying to test it out there again, I pulled it again. So
Man.
that's what a lot of people don't know. It was like it was almost like there's no way I'm gonna be able to do anything,
Hmm.
and when I got to the Senior Bowl, like I told them, like we did the first day of the Senior Bowl, we put just shirts and shorts on, and we just jogged across the field. They just wanted to get us loose and warmed up because we didn't been on the plane. And I was
Hmm.
like 15 to 20 yards behind everybody, behind the punters, the kickers, the long snappers, because I couldn't run. And they were like, bro, what's wrong with you? I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go, but I'm just trying to see. And they were just like, there's a lot of guys that weren't running at all because they felt like they were super high prospects and they didn't have to do anything. There's guys that
Hmm.
went up there and didn't do nothing. I didn't want to be that guy because I already was like coming from a smaller school. I wasn't coming from Alabama, Ohio
Hmm.
State, like some of these guys,
Hmm.
Georgia, that decided not to participate. My bro, I'm coming from the University of Houston, like, and we had a losing season. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have to do something.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like, yeah. So that was the craziest thing. And I got out there the first day. It was like I couldn't do one-on-ones because I couldn't go wide open. I
Hmm.
couldn't do special teams because I couldn't sprint, because you got to sprint on
Yeah, you
special
gotta go.
teams.
You gotta go.
So I'm like, all I can do is inside run and like team, like actual football when I play defense, because
Mm-hmm.
you're only moving laterally kind of quick
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
downhill. I'm like, I can do that, but that's the weakest part of my game. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? But that is the part that the scouts wanted to see if I had the capacity to do. They knew I
Mm-hmm.
could play special teams. They knew I could run. They knew I could cover. But they're like, we have doubts with you in that box because your arms are the shortest of anybody at the whole Senior Bowl, and you're not even 6 foot tall. You're
Mm-hmm.
5'11" and 5'8". I'm like, come on, but it is what it is. and so that's all I was able to do, and I just was going crazy all week.
Mm-hmm.
In that inside arm, knocking dudes' helmets off, all this. So we get to the game, and I kind of figure out throughout the week that my position coach doesn't like me because I'm asking way too many questions. I'm way too involved. We have optional
That was me.
fun meeting. Yeah, yeah.
That was
We
me.
have we have we have optional fun meetings that we can attend for like learning about finances or learning about this. I would just leave them meetings at the Senior Bowl and just go watch film.
Mm-hmm.
And like the coaches would see me in there, and like they wasn't on what I was on. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
always on, and they kind of took the Senior Bowl as a coaching experience. They was the Panthers coaches. I'm not leaving no names out. You know what I'm saying? Like you could just tell they wasn't fooling with how I was. They was almost
Mm-hmm.
making fun of me when I was at practice. Like, let's go, let's go. I'm like, they're like, dude, like it's warm ups. I'm like, all right, like that's you. Like this is me. Like I'm turned up. Like, and so come to the game, bro. They don't put me in. Like I'm not getting PT. I got like 4 drives out of like 30, and I'm like, bro, what is going on? And so I know that all I can play is special teams, but I know I can't run. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, what I'm gonna do? And so I go out there on the punt, and I like block my dude or whatever, and I start running. I realize, bro, I cannot outrun this dude right now. I'm gonna mess
Mm-hmm.
my leg off more.
Mm-hmm.
So he's running right next to me, and the ball is between me and him, or he's between me and the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of run. I'm not running that fast, but I run past the ball,
Mm-hmm.
and then I spin like this to get him off of me, and I smacked the dude so hard, and I started turning up,
I remember that
and
play too.
yeah, and it was just like I was just so grateful to be out there. Um, it was like that the whole time I was there, just because I knew it's like even like with this call a second ago, bro. It was like, do you see what I sent you?
Yep.
Like with
Yep.
the sound and stuff like
Yep.
that. It was just like when stuff is not set up for me to succeed, or stuff is not set up for us to prosper, and we pursue it anyway, and we rely on the Most High, and we just go, what I'm saying, and trust in Him, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
like the victory is so much sweeter. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So that's
Mm-hmm.
that's how that whole process, that's how the draft was for me. I don't know if you're gonna ask, but I'm gonna just go ahead into the draft.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Um,
Go ahead.
yeah, like that's how the draft was for me, because leading up into the draft, a good brother I know told me, he said, "Hey, um, I just heard from the Most High. He said you're gonna get drafted." I'm like, cool. Like I was super worried because I had
Mm-hmm.
to get surgery after the Senior Bowl because I didn't
Mm-hmm.
mess myself off so bad that I didn't get to run at my pro day. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, cool. Like I'm green. Like I'm not gonna worry about nothing. We over here talking about all these free agent deals in case I go undrafted. What team would I go to? I'm not
Mm-hmm.
even paying that no attention no more. I'm just like, I'm finna get drafted. And so the draft come, I'm thinking I'm finna go round 5 at the latest, just
Mm-hmm.
because of what the Broncos was telling me. The Panthers, I went crazy over there with the Panthers. They was with me a whole week. There's no
Mm-hmm.
way they don't draft me. They got like three picks in the 6th round or something they had.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, there's no way I get into the 7th and I'm not drafted. Like, no way. Especially backers were getting drafted early. So I'm like, shoot, it's just my turn at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So, bro, we get to like the mid of the 7th round. And I'm like, yo, like, what's going on? This is the last round. Like, what's going down? And I just look at my wife, and I invited all these people over for the draft. I'm like, yo, like, am I finna go undrafted? Like, teams start calling me, telling me, hey, we're not gonna draft you up here in the 7th round, but we really want to get you with a free agent deal. And I'm just like, dang, like the teams that told me they was finna draft me going into the draft just didn't draft me. So I'm like, bro,
Mm.
what's going on? Like,
I
our
thought you were
GM ain't
going to
right.
Baltimore.
Yeah,
I thought you were
yeah,
going to Baltimore.
somewhere, you know what I'm saying? Like it's teams needed backers, and I could have sworn I was gonna go to Denver because Denver was so heavy on me, and they
Mm.
had 3 picks, bro. We get in the camera. They had 3 picks in the 7th round, 3 of them. They had more picks than anybody in the 7th round. They talked to me more than anybody during the pre-draft process, bro. And they just didn't pick me, didn't pick me, didn't pick me. Backdoor that in the 6th round, the Carolina Panthers came up. They draft a long snapper. So, bro, I'm just like, yo, like bro, the same dude that was at the Senior Bowl with me, he didn't make the tackle. I made it. So I'm just like, bro, what's going on? And so, dude, I went in my room. I just kind of like, just was like, my wife could just kind of tell, like, I wanted to be away from everybody. I was finna go to like the New York Giants or somewhere in free agency, somewhere I really didn't want to go, but I know I would make the team. And so, you know, she just like, that was the first time that when I knew, like, it kind of reaffirmed that I had picked the right one, because, you know, or that I had listened to God when it came to picking her, you know, and she looked at me and she was just like, you know, do the birds work? I'm like, what? She was like, do the birds worry? You know, how much more does the Lord love you? How much more does the Most High love you? Than he loved the sparrows that fly in the air? Like, do the birds worry? And I'm just like, no, you know. And she was just like, you know, all right, come sit right here, come pray with me. You know what I'm saying? Release some of this anxiousness. And we prayed, and I went out there just like, I was like, look, you know, I'm positive about it, guys. Like, I'm gonna go to the Giants. We're gonna be green. You know, it's gonna be cool. You know, but the thing is, I had adopted my sister, my sibling. I was like, bro, I don't know if I can make it happen in New Jersey. Like what's the how much space you got over there? What school is she gonna go to? Like, oh, it was just tough. Like, and so the last pick comes on. I get a call, and it's from Tampa Bay. And I was getting calls this whole time from teams, right? From teams saying, hey, we want to get you with this free agent deal. We're gonna offer you the most money out of all the teams. Like, my free agent deal was gonna be sweet after the draft, but the Buccaneers called me, and he was like, Jason Light, the GM, was like, hey, have you figured out where you want to go in free agency? And like, I start to talk, but I'm like slow, because I'm finna tell him like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the Giants. And he was like, well, you don't got to figure that out, because we're going to pick you right here with the last pick. And I was just like, yo, like, no way. And, man, you know, they said my name on the TV. That's when it all settled in. And everybody started turning up. And I started just crying and just being really grateful, you know. And you know, it's been a blessing to be here. You know, I met some great people. My sister's going to high school over here. And my wife is flourishing over here, you know, so we're making it shape. Now we in Wesley Chapel, you know, where we got a
Yes,
little
sir.
Texas vibe. It's a
Yes,
little Texas vibe
sir.
out there with a little land, little cows, little country, you know, it's
Yes,
smooth. I
sir.
like it.
It's got a little bit of city vibe, but you know, you still got enough country, you know, to feel good about not being
Yeah,
in the hustle and bustle of Tampa. You know what I'm saying? Uh,
yeah,
but
absolutely.
what did that mean to you? You know, because a lot of people there's a lot of benefit to being to being the final pick, right? And
Yeah,
that was something that I knew when I was playing. I was
yeah,
like, listen, if you fall to a certain point, you're hoping to hit that 259, that final pick. What
yeah.
did that mean for you? What did becoming Mr. Irrelevant mean for you, not only in your career as a player, but you know, in your daily life?
Well, it was like I knew that like I wanted to get drafted, but once you get to a certain point in the draft, the free agents kind of start to get more guaranteed money than the
Mm-hmm.
draft picks,
Mm-hmm.
because the draft picks guaranteed money is pre-locked in. There's no
Mm-hmm.
negotiating.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a draft pick, you can't negotiate where you go, can't negotiate how much you make, can't negotiate the guaranteed money. But with the free agents, you can negotiate guaranteed money.
Mm-hmm.
You can negotiate a whole contract. In the free
Exactly.
agency,
Exactly.
you know, it's only gonna be a certain amount because you ain't get drafted. So why we gonna give you? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the guaranteed money a lot of times is higher than some of the
Mm-hmm.
end of the seventh round picks. So
Mm-hmm.
my people was telling me like, even if you go undrafted, you're gonna have more guaranteed money with another team. And I'm like, yeah, that's guaranteed money, but I'm gonna make the team. I mean, like, I
Yeah.
hope so. So like the
Yeah.
guaranteed money not gonna matter, because
Mm-hmm.
like I wanted the money up front. So it's like I
Mm-hmm.
want to get drafted. Um, but you know, but I had no clue about the last guy at the draft stuff. Like, I had no clue at all. Like, I had
Mm-hmm.
briefly heard about like some type of Mr. Irrelevant, because we had a guy at SMU that I knew that like he tweeted something when he got drafted, and I was like, irrelevant. Why is he tweeting that? Like I didn't know. Like, I was like, why is he calling himself that? Um, but I didn't, you know, I didn't hear, I didn't know. And then when the lady got up there just taking forever to say the pick, I'm like, what is all this hype? Like, they finna like, she doing all this and she gonna say somebody else name, Marcus Beatles. I'm gonna be like, you know, I'm gonna be like, that's what I was thinking. She's talking a lot, like, what's going on? And so yeah, when they because like right after my family started screaming, I couldn't hear the GM no more. And by the time I could hear somebody on the phone, it was the people from the Mr. Irrelevant organization. And I was like, oh, wait, let me talk to the coach. Like, whoa, like, you know. And they were like, no, we got to talk about this, this, and that. And it was just like, they told me I was going to have some trips and I was going to bring my wife. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, this was better than anything else that could have happened at the end of the draft. Then I'm going to the Super Bowl champs, Tom Brady. Like, he couldn't tell me nothing. Like, people would just be like, oh, you gonna have a, but I had the hardest route to make the team. I had all these vets, all these players. They drafted another backer ahead of me in the 7th round. So
AJ.
it was just like, yeah, KJ. So it was just like, man, but I just knew it. You know, I just knew it. I'm just like, you know, this is too coincidental for like the Most High not to have his hands on it, for him not to be involved. You know, I'm gonna just trust him and like I'm gonna just give him my all. And I just was very confident I was gonna make the team, and like so confident that I like got the crib, brought the wife, brought the sister, enrolled her in school. And I'm like, look, if I get cut or something, we just gonna have to go back to Texas. Like, you're gonna have to send your friends by. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna be enrolled in school and all that. But I'm like, we just gonna have to. I'm like, y'all just gonna have to trust me, and they did, you know. And they put their faith in the Most High, and I put my faith in them, and it worked out, yeah. But
Yes,
that's how
sir.
I felt, bro. It was like, wow, the last one, like that's crazy.
Hey man,
Yeah.
and and particularly that's one of the things that was huge, because that brought you here now. That moment brought you here now.
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
is, which is what's wild, is that the Most High is so intentional in the way that He does things, and all the way down to the place where you're here now, with brothers that support you as always, of course, and brothers that care, and a team that values you, of course, because we know, because I don't know if you heard Jason Light's last Jason Light's when they asked about the two biggest impact players as rookies, your name and KJ Britt was in there. And throughout the season, Bruce Arians gave you your accolades for how well you played down the stretch, right?
Mhm.
Now, one of the things that I wanted to bring in is, we know during the preseason you struggled in the first game. In the
Yeah.
second game, you came out and you wrecked shop. Like it was almost sitting watching that game reminded me a lot of watching that game in the Senior Bowl. What changed? What switch did you flip in the preseason that allowed you to be able to ride that game and play as well as you did in those final 3 games?
Well, for me, you know, in the preseason, everybody was preaching special teams, special teams, special teams, special teams, because I knew that that's where I was going to have to make the team. I knew that's where I was going to have to provide value, because even
Mm-hmm.
if I was a very good linebacker, they were going to start Levante and Devin no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, if you're going to be a quality backup, you're going to be on the field on special teams. So we need to see if you can provide value there, or we
Mm-hmm.
can get another guy who might not be as good as a linebacker as you, but they're going to play special teams well. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so like my whole thing was like, oh, special teams, special teams. So that first game, I was so hyped up over special teams, and I made a tackle on special teams or whatever
Mm-hmm.
that first game. But like on defense, I was playing horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I was tired. I wasn't able to focus and give the calls. I was so nervous because I hadn't took defense as serious as I was taking special teams in practice.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't being as intentional on a day-to-day basis. So when it came time to perform, it was like and yeah, I was just nervous, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know, coming into that next game, what a lot of people don't know about that Titans game is that we had a joint practice with them all week. So I
Mm-hmm.
was practicing against those guys all week. And
Mm-hmm.
if you know me as a player, I'm like a practice superstar. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm a practice warrior, because most of the time I'm going so hard, like as hard as somebody else would go in the game, I'm probably going hard, if not harder, in practice, because
Mm-hmm.
like I have no fear of mistake. I'm trying to get better, and it's like I just take every single rep seriously.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the scripture that say, "Do everything with your full might." You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's I had took that to heart. I think it's Ecclesiastes 9:10.
Mm-hmm.
Could yeah, I think so. But and like I really took that to heart, and that's how I was playing. So playing against those guys all week, figuring out the scheme, seeing what they were trying to do, spending time with it, it was just like and they just kept trying to run the ball. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, y'all not finna do that if I'm in the game. Like if I know what you finna do and you finna come at me, I'm finna come at you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's why I was in film study. I got messed off really bad in practice a
Mm-hmm.
few times, and I didn't like it. And I guess that's when like I had that decision to make, like if this was going to be for me or not when it came to the NFL and the
Mm-hmm.
constant competitiveness and the constant being on the edge. Am I going to get cut if I'm going to make the team? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and just committing to it and saying like, look, I'm doing this all the way, and I'm not. It wasn't no looking back, and going into that game, making all them tackles for loss, the sack I had. Um, it just was like stuff I had practiced all week, and
Mm-hmm.
I had already put them in my mind that I was going to dominate them all week in practice, and I had that confidence going in. So
Mm-hmm. And we also know
yeah,
that you tied for third in the league in special teams tackles this season. But what a lot of people don't know is that the regular season started off a lot in a similar way that the preseason started off. You
yeah,
were actually probably the best special teamer in the league down the stretch.
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
what switch, like I said, a lot of people think that that's 15 over the stretch of a 17 game season. A lot of those tackles came on the back end. You were by far the best special teams player in the league as far as making tackles in the second half of the season. What transitioned there? Did the game just slow down?
Yeah, so I mean, out of those 15 tackles, like you said, 12 of them probably came in like the last 7 games.
Hmm.
Um, you know, um, it was just like starting off the season. I was so committed to like certain stuff, like being the first one down the field, or like
Hmm.
running as fast as I could, or just like trying to give all my effort rather than like I'm finna go make this play. I'm finna go, like you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And I was, so also just so worried about doing my job because I
Hmm.
just got the job and I didn't get that much practice at it. It kind of was just
Hmm.
like, hey, time to roll, and you're a
Yeah.
starter on special teams, and the
Hmm.
punt unit is on the field a lot. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially that first week against Dallas.
Hmm.
Like their defense was playing well, so we were on the field a lot. And if Tom Brady's on the field, he's scoring. The kickoff team is on the field a lot.
Yep.
And then if we're getting scored on, the kickoff return team is I got to block Leighton Vander Esch. Like what? Like this is just it just was like it was too much at one time.
Hmm.
So I was so focused on my assignment and blocking my guy instead of blocking my guy and going to make the tackle. And there's just stuff that I learned throughout the season. I'm like, learning that I'm fast, learning that I'm strong,
Hmm.
learning that I'm during the season, I figured out that I was so much more calm and relaxed and was able to sit back and anticipate stuff and look at everybody. And there's dudes that are rookies. There's dudes that are rookies that stayed that same way I was at the beginning. They stayed that same way the whole year, and I could
Hmm.
identify it and be like, "Oh, I see, he's nervous,"
Hmm.
or matching myself up against a veteran player who's been in the league 10 years. He don't want it as much as I do. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So knowing that about my opponents, I started studying my opponent specifically, watching college tape of him,
Hmm.
studying my opponent, how long he's been in the league, studying his who beat him and how they beat them.
Hmm.
Who beat like I was going against the quote unquote best special teamer in the whole league on one of these teams, right? Who've been a Pro Bowler, he's getting paid all this money, and
Hmm.
I'm trying to figure out who's beating him and how are they beating him, and then who is he beating and how is he beating them? Because I got to
Hmm.
block him too,
Hmm.
So going into that game, I'm like, these are the only moves I'm doing, and in practice, I'm doing those moves
Hmm.
over and over and over again. The first day of practice, they're not working, but by the last day of practice, you best believe they're working because I'm working on them after practice, during
Yeah.
practice, in my room, all that type of stuff. And so going into that, that's what it started to develop more into that as I got comfortable doing my job and my responsibility. You can't forget the basic stuff, so that was still
Hmm.
important. But once it came time, now I'm not blocking my man. Now I'm gonna make a tackle. And that's when it came time. Here's my matchup. I'm gonna lean them this way, then I'm gonna swim this way because that's how dude on the Bears beat them. So I'm gonna do the
Hmm.
same thing the dude from the Bears did. Then I'm gonna backdoor it with the dude that from Seattle, how he just ran straight through him. I'm gonna backdoor him with that one. Setting
Hmm.
stuff up like
Hmm.
that, and that's really led to my success. And that's why I'm so excited about this next season and just having the tools that I've developed and knowing what works for me. And working with the strength staff at the Bucks like helped me learn how to run
Hmm.
with my hip injury I was playing through, because
Hmm.
that was another deal on top of it. I didn't figure out how to deal with that until halfway throughout the season. I started taking Toradol, which is
Hmm.
like the anti, like you don't feel nothing.
Hmm.
Um, and so, but I learned how to run with that. through a dude named Raj, one of our strength coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And now I got this surgery, so like who knows what I'm capable of at this time now that now I can fully sprint, and I haven't been able to say that since I was a sophomore in college. So I'm excited about it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
man. And I remember we talked about this. We talked about this a long time ago. I sent you that message. I said, "Listen, man, you built for this. You wouldn't be there
Mhm.
if you weren't supposed to be." And
Mhm.
in the second half of this season, you went crazy. You not only proved that you belong there, but you proved that you're gonna be here in the league for a long time.
Mhm.
And that's
Appreciate it. Yeah.
and you can't do nothing but give all praise to the Most High for that. Definitely.
Yeah.
And as we're wrapping up, once again, I wanted to congratulate you. A lot of people don't know, but you got married to Josie about a year ago now, right?
Let me see. It is a year and some change ago.
A
A
year
year
and
and
some
some change
change.
ago.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. What has she
Yeah.
meant to you in this journey and in this path? Like you said, with everything that you've been through, how much has she meant to you on that path on that path? And what
Yeah.
advice can you give for other people who are in a similar situation as you, new in marriage? What advice can you give?
Man, she has really met everything. She has fulfilled every need that any human being could feel. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
she was so patient with me. To be real with you, because right whenever I had met her, I was very passionate. I'm like, look, this is what I'm doing. I'm gonna honor the Most High, and anything that happens between us, like I don't, I ain't, I told her I ain't believe in girlfriend and boyfriend. I never had that title with her. I'm just like, it's nowhere in the script. I don't believe in it. And she like was just like, okay, like and like she wasn't in the same understanding as me, but she could tell I was submitted to God. She could
Mm-hmm.
tell I was committed to that, and she was patient. She wanted to learn. She wanted to grow and develop in that area. She was open and honest with me. And when she was like, I'm not taking it as serious as you, then we chop it up about it. And we had that transparency with each other. But a big thing was, even though I was so committed to the Most High, there was still trauma I was dealing with from the way I used to live, from the experiences that I went through. There was
Mm-hmm.
still habits that I had built, um, still thought patterns that I was struggling with. I wasn't taking every thought captive. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, but the craziest thing was is I was able to share. I was able to share with her them thought patterns. I was able to share with her them difficult thoughts I was having, them dark thoughts I was having. I was able to share them with her, and sharing with her not in a way that's like, hey, I'm thinking about this, but it was like, hey, like I'm thinking about this. I don't want to be thinking about this, and I'm struggling with this right now. I just want to be transparent with you, stuff like that. And she would be understanding of me and work with me through it. She was
Mm-hmm.
like, if you're still dealing with this 3 months from now, like I'm gonna have to step, but like we gonna do our best to like try to work through this as
Mm-hmm.
friends and stuff like that. Um, and whenever unfortunately her parents thought we were getting a little too close together and stuff like that, and she had her thoughts about moving out and getting her own apartment and stuff like that, she was displaced and kind of got kicked out the crib
Mm-hmm.
and had to live with me and put us in a tough situation as far as honoring the Most High, to be
Mm-hmm.
completely real with you.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came to like getting married, and when it came to making it official, so that we didn't have to worry about something we didn't have to struggle with something we didn't have to struggle with if we knew and God had already showed us we were supposed to be together.
Mm-hmm.
She was understanding with that. She chopped it up about it, and then she like understood it was more about the Most High than it was about us, whether or not
Mm-hmm.
we were ready, or whether or not we was ready, or what the world would call ready to be married at such a young
Mm-hmm.
age. It was just like, when you look at the Bible and the examples that the Bible gives, they was getting married way younger than us.
Yeah.
Um, and it was always about honoring him and doing, making sure his feelings wasn't hurt versus making sure everybody on the planet Earth agreed. Because like it might have
Mm-hmm.
been 3 people on the planet Earth that was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Everybody else
Mm-hmm.
was like, yo, what? Like you met her 6 months ago. It was like, look,
Mm-hmm.
it just is what it is. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, so I mean, she meant everything, throughout this whole process. The biggest thing I always think about is, when it came to what she told me with do the birds worry. It just let me know. I was like, oh, she read the script on her own, like she like that same feeling I felt when I was at that fellowship when I gave my life to the Most High. When then people was just speaking the scripture You know, like it was in their hearts, and seeing that from her organically in a useful way. And then, you know, when it came to adopting my sister, her being a high schooler, she's got to go to school every day. She's got stuff she's got going on.
Mhm.
She's got, you know, social stuff. She's there. She's a girl. Some stuff I don't know how to deal with. And during the season, it's like I'm not there at all. So
Mhm.
Josie was just doing everything, you know. And so like she did all of that like without a complaint, without like oh, this is not even like my sister. Like never that, you know. She just
Mhm.
always like cared for her, took that role as like that mom slash older sister thing she's doing, and just has been a great role model for her, has been a great relationship with her, and it's just really just meant everything to me. And um, a side note, um, in relevance to when you talk about that Titans game, you talk about you messaging me, and after the Titans game, I had an interview. If you watch the interview after the Titans game, and they asked me directly what was the difference between why did I play so much better in that Titans game? And it was a big difference mentally. I told them, right? I said it's a big difference mentally for me um, because, you know, I was really struggling mentally with some stuff. And a brother had messaged me. I said my brother messaged me and just kind of told me to put it in God's hands and in the trust in God, trust in the Most High. And I shared that with them because that's really what it was for me. It gave me assurance, like I'm built for this, I can do this.
Mhm.
Um, and I just started like even you bringing it up just now, and I had forgot.
Mhm.
That's really when I shared that with them. It's always kind of awkward sharing the gospel, or sharing the Most High
Mhm.
with the media and stuff because they just
Mhm.
want to hear about everything
Mhm.
else. But I remember sharing that with them and being confident because that was really the truth, and that's really what carried me into that next game and just having me like I'm just gonna trust in Him and do everything I can, you know.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah,
Amen.
yeah,
And that's one of the main things that that we struggle with is the Most High puts us in a place, and a lot of times because of everything that we've been through and everything that's going on in that moment and how hard that moment is, we forget that the Most High placed us in that moment, and we wouldn't have been placed in that moment if He hadn't preordained it and said that we were ready to be in that moment. You understand what I'm saying? So,
mhm,
and that was one of the things that I was dealing with at the same time. I was dealing with it was placed in my spirit because I needed that myself. But
yeah,
for some reason, the Most High was like, "Hey, send that to him." And I
yeah,
remember I did, and I was going through the same thing, and you were going through that as well. And it was awesome because he was like, "Hey man, how did you?" He was like, "How did? Why did you send this to me?" And I was like, "Hey man, I needed it too." And he was like, "Man, all praise to the Most High. I needed this. I needed this as well." And it was just sort of the Holy Spirit working on my end and on your end as well. And both of us grew from that situation. So you know, as always, just sort of putting your faith in the Most High in whatever situation you may be in. And that's what your testimony is about. Wherever you are, understand you're there for a reason. You go through what you go through so that you can get to where you're going, so that you can get to where you're going to, right? And your
yeah,
journey isn't complete yet, right? So,
yeah,
so you still have so much longer to go on this road, and it's going to be amazing to see you travel that road, not only in the NFL but in life and your spiritual walk. You're still growing there. There's still so much you're learning. There's still so much you're bringing in, and of course we got to finish, right? What's the point of starting if you don't finish? The scriptures say, "He that
yeah,
endureth to the end, the same shall be saved." We ain't saved right now. We just discovered Christ. Salvation comes at the end. You understand what I'm saying? So we both got the
yeah,
same goal. And we're coming to the end of this interview. I don't want to hold you too long. I want to go and point towards the comments, and I also want to give you closing remarks while we bring in the comments.
yeah, for sure.
All right. So he said, "What's your 40 time? What's your 40 time?" I know you didn't get to run. You didn't get to run an official 40 at the combine, but
Yeah,
I know you got
yeah,
an idea of what it is.
yeah. So I ran I ran a 4.4. I want to say three. I ran a 4.43 when I was in high school,
Mm-hmm.
but I was on a track with spikes on with a hand time. And so I had gotten a little faster, but a little heavier going into that. And I was probably on track when I was training at Exos. I was
Mm-hmm.
probably on track to run somewhere in the 4.5s, probably like mid 4.5s, 4.55, 4.57, something like that. It's probably what I would have ended up running on a good
Definitely,
day.
definitely
Yeah.
faster than me because
Yeah.
I was short and skinny, and I ran like a low 4.5 at that time. So hey, Hey,
Yeah,
I was slow. I was smart. That's why I was good. I was only good because I was
yeah,
smart. But
yeah,
but
yeah.
and this is legacy. We had him on a week ago. He said, "Let me send you some apparel." So yeah, definitely, we got to get you some because this man's. I don't know if you saw last week's episode of Bimp on the Spot. He got some heat, man. He got some.
I
He got
bet.
some heat.
Yeah.
So we gonna hook you up. That hey y'all, that's definitely business to business right there. This is what Bimp on the Spot is all about. This is another black business that we promote. We got our brother Grant Stewart, so we gonna help each other out. Appreciate that legacy. And from Elder Nathaniel Astral of the House of Judah International Fellowship Church. Your story is very inspiring. Thank you for sharing with us. May the Most High continue blessing and protecting you and your family. All praise to the Most High.
All praises. Yeah. Appreciate it, brother Nathan. Yeah, I appreciate that. Blessings to you and your family as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Do you have anything you want to close with before we let everybody go?
No, I guess you just kind of asked like, advice. You asked for me to share any advice, I guess, with like young married couples
Mm-hmm.
or people or even people that are, struggling in their singleness. Cause like I met my wife, but I didn't actually like, I think I didn't actually like go and spend time with her or go on a date with her or anything for about a month after that. So I mean, I was only in like a real singleness. I was only when it came to like I had already given my life to Christ and I was single simultaneously. That only happened for like a month.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but during that whole time, I was just like so engulfed with him, and I was just continuously seeking him and seeking him and seeking him. And that's the only time I has n- have never seek the woman. That's the
Mm-hmm.
only time I had never just been out looking for who's gonna be mine, like
Mm-hmm.
because I was just spending time with him, with him, with him, and he placed her in front of me, and it
Mm-hmm.
was just like, all right, like here you go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also just like for like the young married couples, what I'm saying, I've only been married like a year and a half, or December 6th of 2020 we got married, so I don't know how long it is. It's at least a year though. But like the biggest thing for me was like, I wanted to like have a wife that was submissive. I wanted to have a wife that wasn't gonna give me like no issues if I like, asked her to do something or something like that. Like I was so focused on that. Um, but like what I have realized is like it's pretty much the issue of every marriage that is in the world is like what I have found is the woman don't have no problem submitting or no problem following your lead if she is confident that you are submitted and following the lead of the Most High. Like I have found that, and if if you are not, if it's not apparent and obvious that you are linked up and yoked up with the Most High, and that you're trying to follow His lead and do what is right by Him, and doing right by Him is treating your wife with love and care. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mm-hmm.
all over the script. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't, your parents will go over the ceiling and just chill. So
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Yep.
and so that could just be my encouragement. It's just like I have found like any struggles that I've had, like absolutely any struggles that we've had in our marriage, and there hasn't been a whole lot, but even if something I'm struggling with that I just, oh, I wish this was better, or I wish this would improve, or something like that, like it always is improved, or stuff is always solved through me going to the Most High about it, soaking up in Him, and like really like giving it to Him and telling, like asking Him and depending on Him in that area instead of feeling like I can fix something, but
Mm-hmm.
then still doing my part and acting and going with her and having a conversation with her about it. Like there was a situation where yeah, I could tell she was really getting frustrated towards nighttime because I couldn't tell what it was. And so I just asked her, like, what's going on? And she was just like, you always get in the shower first. And you don't ever ask me if I want to shower first. And I'm just like to me, that's not no big deal. But hearing that from her
Mm-hmm.
and seeing how much she cared about it, I'm like, if we never had this conversation, I never would have known.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, even though you want your wife to just follow your lead, you want your wife to be on the same team as you and agree with you and all that type of stuff and be equally yoked, like you still gotta have that environment to where both of y'all feel comfortable sharing stuff with each other
Mm-hmm.
that the
Mm-hmm.
other person might not want to hear, or that
Mm-hmm.
the other person might not find as important as you find it. But if
Mm-hmm.
you find that person as important, then it's like it's worth saying, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so she told me that, and every time I get in the shower, I'm like, "Hey, babe, you want to go first?" You know, and she'll be like, "Yes or no." But you know, even if she was just tripping on it that day, it was
Mm-hmm.
like now it means something that I saw her, I heard her, I love her, I care her. Now, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to acknowledge that she said that, and I'm going to act within that. And so I just like with everything, I just be going to the Most High, like, you know, we're struggling here. Can you please help reveal a solution, or can you please lead us in a direction that's going to solve this problem? And like, I figured out having conversation with the Most High, having conversation with her, praying together to Him, communicating with Him. Like it's got to be a constant environment of that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I early in our relationship, I would get caught up. I would just go by myself all the time, study the scripture, study the scripture, study the scripture, and then I wouldn't share nothing with her. We wouldn't do it together. It was just I was spending time away from her, and it was like, yeah, I'm trying to do best by God. Make me a sandwich. Like, whoa, like you know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? So it's I think it's all about balance, but I don't think anybody gonna have issues if the wife can be confident that her husband is trying to do his absolute best by the Most High. I think that's what makes everything smooth. And anytime I get away from that or I try to get inside my flesh, that's when we get issues. You know.
Mm-hmm. And that's
So
and that's huge because we talked about that in our interview with Peasy. That was a lot of what we went over in that video. For all those who haven't seen that full interview, we got it up on the channel. We talked about that when the order in the household is set and established, and there's a mutual respect between man and wife, understanding that the wife is the helpmeet of the husband, right? She's our prayer warrior, right? When we're fighting the spirit, she's our she's our prayer warrior, right? You know,
yeah,
having that helpmeet and having an understanding that, okay, she's here to support me, she's not here to hurt me, I'm here to support her, he's not there to hurt me. Having an understanding that order according to the Most High is how you build a solid foundation, and it's ultimately how we're going to bring our foundation back together and repairing the black family, as the black family begins with what? The husband and the wife, right?
yes,
So
yes.
thank you, man, for coming on. We appreciate you accepting our invitation, and hopefully, we can have you back soon.
Hopefully, yeah. Hey, I'm available. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we can do it in person. I'm right around the corner. Let me
Oh
know.
yeah, you know, you already
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Hey, and anytime you want to get together, Bible study. Anytime you want to just get together, conversate, talk about the scriptures, talk about the Most High. You know, just let me know. You know, like you said, right around the corner. So, hey, man, just let me
yeah.
know. You're always available.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, I want to thank all of you for tuning in tonight. This was probably our longest episode ever, but it was definitely the biggest blessing. One of my favorite interviews that I've ever done with my brother, Grant Stewart. I want to remind you all, like, share, comment, subscribe. If you're here from the beginning and you stayed till now, you might as well hit the like button. It don't take nothing but a second. You've been here for an hour and 30 minutes. Go ahead and hit that like button. Come on now, do it. Go and
Yeah,
hit that subscribe button as well for more videos as we continue to do a couple of more. We're going to have a summit coming up with a lot of the brothers that we had on throughout the season to talk about the repair of the black family from a black male's perspective. Hopefully, Grant, maybe we could get you back for that one. Given that
yeah.
you have a unique position as far as what you grew up, the environment that you grew up in, and your marriage now, so we might have to have you come back to talk about that. Talk about that with us. All right.
Hey, let me know. Let me know. And even if I can just come and listen, I'll just tune in. But
Oh yeah, we're gonna have the elders in the room. We're gonna have the
yeah,
brothers of the aged brothers. We're gonna have some young brothers in there. We're gonna have some brothers somewhere in between, just to get the full spectrum of not only societal view of the black family, but the way we as men view the black family from our own personal experiences. I haven't lived very long, but hey, I got some wisdom. I got some wisdom as
yeah.
well that the Most High has imparted in me, and the knowledge that the Most High has imparted in me as well. So remind you all, we're going to be back next week. Bump on the spot. Make sure that you're there. T-shirts and T-Tuesdays. Make sure that you're there. Thank you for all tuning in, and y'all be blessed. Grant, thank you for coming on. Y'all be blessed, everybody. Good night.